Your future self is waiting for the commitment you make right now. Give it 60 minutes of focused effort daily. If you're not where you want to be, start with just 1 hour a day. That hour will guide you to where you're meant to go. What if you could change your future by simply dedicating 60 minutes every day? What if you had the power to unlock your full potential with just an hour of focused effort? What if your biggest dreams and goals could be achieved by making one small commitment each day? Imagine what would happen if you used that time wisely to work on your personal growth, your career, your health, or your relationships. How different would your life be in just a few months from now? The truth is that 60 minutes can transform everything. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter, consistently, and with purpose. So if you're ready to take control of your future and start making those changes, this is your moment. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Wake up early and invest 1 hour in learning. The direction of your life doesn't change overnight, but it can change the moment you choose a better habit. And one of the simplest, most powerful habits you can build is waking up early and giving yourself 1 solid hour to learn something that will shape your mind, your future, and your confidence. You don't have to wait for someone to rescue your life. You don't have to beg the world to change for you. You only need to decide that your future is worth 1 hour of effort each morning. It's quiet in the early hours. The world hasn't started pulling at your attention. You don't have the distractions, the messages, the noise. You have time. That hour is yours. Nobody's asking for it. Nobody's knocking at your door. And if you use that time to learn, really learn, you begin building something that pays off for the rest of your life. Learning is not about collecting facts. It's not about sounding smart. It's about becoming strong inside. When you learn something useful every single day, you grow in clarity. You begin to understand how life works. You begin to recognize patterns. You gain skills that help you make better choices. You start to notice opportunities. You react better under pressure. You become more patient, more strategic, more resilient. Most people are waiting for the right time. They're hoping for luck. They're wishing the world will suddenly open a door. But success doesn't wait for you to be ready. It rewards the people who prepare when nobody's watching. And that preparation starts with learning. Waking up early is not about being impressive. It's about giving yourself a window to improve. If you don't take control of the first part of your day, the rest of your day will control you. You'll respond to everything instead of choosing your path. But when you start with learning, you train your mind to lead. You start the day in control, not in reaction. You don't have to study a mountain of books. You don't have to sit with a heavy textbook. Start with one subject, one book, one skill. Spend an hour reading about human behavior. Study a chapter on communication. Learn something about finances. Read about leadership, or listen to a podcast from someone who's done something valuable. Watch a lecture. Write notes. Ask yourself what it means to you, and do it again the next day, and the next. Watch what happens to your awareness. Watch what happens to your decisions. It will change everything. I've seen people completely reshape their mindset in just a few months, simply because they woke up early and chose to feed their minds instead of their fears. And you know why that's so powerful? Because when you learn every day, you no longer feel helpless. You feel equipped. You begin to realize you can influence the direction of your life. You start to see that growth is not out of reach. It's right here in your hands, 1 hour at a time. Now, some people say they don't have time, but I'll tell you this: if you have time to scroll, if you have time to hit snooze, if you have time to check the news first thing in the morning, then you have time to learn. And it's not about how much time you have. It's about what you do with the time you've got. 1 hour, 60 minutes. That's all it takes to move forward each day. And don't do it to impress others. Do it because you want to be proud of the person you're becoming. Do it because life is better when you understand how to handle it. Do it because you've wasted enough time, feeling lost, confused, frustrated, and now it's time to build clarity. Build confidence. Build a mind that doesn't fold under pressure. 1 hour in the morning sets the tone for the whole day. You start your day with purpose, and that sense of purpose follows you into your work, your conversations, your decisions. You feel sharper. You feel grounded. You're no longer just reacting. You're building. Think about this. In 1 year, if you study for 1 hour every single morning, you'll have stacked over 360 hours of learning. That's the same as 9 full-time work weeks. Imagine what that kind of consistent growth could do to your thinking, your mindset, your ability to solve problems, your confidence in interviews, your focus at work. That's not just improvement, that's transformation. Most people never give themselves the chance to grow because they keep saying one day. But I want to tell you something important. One day doesn't exist. There's only today. There's only right now. And what you choose to do with the first hour of your morning tells the world what kind of person you are becoming. And more importantly, it tells you what kind of person you are choosing to be. That hour becomes sacred. It becomes your edge. While others are still asleep or distracted, you're building. While others are delaying, you're developing. While others are complaining, you're improving. That's the difference. It's not about being more talented. It's about being more intentional. Talent fades when it's not sharpened, but discipline compounds. You don't need to be the smartest person. You don't need to come from the best background. You only need to make one solid decision, to wake up early and give yourself one uninterrupted hour to learn. That's how you move from excuses to progress. That's how you move from confusion to clarity. That's how you move from hoping to doing. And when that hour becomes a habit, you no longer struggle to find motivation. You don't wait for inspiration. You wake up and go to work on your mind. You begin your day by building strength inside. And that strength shows up in every other area of your life. Your relationships, your career, your energy, your goals. People around you will notice something different. They'll see that you speak with more certainty. You walk with more direction. You listen better. You respond better. And that's not because something magical happened. It's because you decided to use the quiet hours to improve who you are. 1 hour each morning doesn't cost you anything, except comfort. But it gives you everything that matters. Growth, confidence, self-respect. And once you feel that you won't want to go back, you'll want more of it. You'll want to keep building. You'll want to see how far you can go. Wake up early and learn, not because someone told you to, but because your future deserves it. Because you're tired of staying stuck. Because you want to do something real with your time. Because deep down you know you're capable of more. And this is the way to prove it to yourself. Not in 5 years, not someday, today, this morning. Right now, give yourself 1 hour and do it again tomorrow. And then again the next day. That's how you change your future, 1 hour at a time.
Number 2. Set goals and review them for 1 hour daily. The reason most people don't make progress isn't because they lack effort, but because they never stop to decide what they truly want. Without clear goals, your energy is scattered, your time is wasted, and your life starts to feel like it's drifting. If you want to take control of your future, you must decide where you are going and make it your business to remind yourself every single day. It's not enough to think about your goals once and then move on with your life. That's not how real growth happens. Real progress comes from intention and repetition. When you set goals and review them for 1 hour every day, you are giving your mind direction and purpose. You wake up in the morning, and instead of jumping into someone else's schedule or reacting to problems, you sit down and decide to look at what you're building. You ask yourself what matters. You ask yourself where you want to go. You write it down. You study it. You make it clear. The more you look at your goals, the more real they become. You're not just daydreaming anymore. You're planning. You're preparing. You're adjusting your actions to match what you truly want. Most people never look at their goals again after writing them once. They write them in a notebook and close it. That notebook ends up on a shelf, forgotten, buried under all the daily distractions. But when you make it a habit to review your goals for 1 full hour every day, you turn your goals into instructions. You begin to train your brain to stay on course. You begin to think in alignment with your purpose. There is power in clarity. When your goals are clear, your decisions become easier. You don't waste time guessing what to do next. You know you've already mapped it out. You've already committed to it. Every minute spent reviewing your goals strengthens your belief in them. That belief turns into action. That action builds momentum. And momentum changes everything. During that 1 hour every day, you look at your goals and ask yourself questions.
Are these still meaningful to me? Am I doing something today that brings me closer? What obstacles am I seeing? How can I respond better? What must I change in my routine? Who do I need to become to reach this? This kind of thinking builds discipline. It forces you to be honest with yourself. You stop hiding behind distractions and start facing your own progress. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're not chasing someone else's life. You are working on your own values, your own direction, your own reason for getting up in the morning. And when you do this long enough, something inside you shifts. You begin to feel that sense of ownership. Your time starts to matter more. You start cutting out the things that no longer support your goals. You start saying no to what used to tempt you. Because your purpose has grown stronger than your excuses. The truth is, life is full of noise. It's full of endless offers and opinions and demands. If you don't give your attention to what truly matters, it will be stolen by what doesn't. And the best way to protect your attention is by looking at your goals every single day, writing them down again, speaking them out loud, updating them when needed, breaking them down into small daily steps. That's how you stay focused. That's how you make sure your energy is being used on what actually matters. Some people think goal setting is boring. They say it doesn't work. But what they're missing is the practice of revisiting their goals daily. Goals are not magic. They don't work because you wrote them once. They work because you align your actions with them over time. That alignment comes from repetition. That repetition comes from one committed hour every day. That hour becomes a mirror. It shows you where you are. It reveals whether your time is matching your goals. It helps you see when you're drifting, and it pulls you back to center. This is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. 1 hour a day reviewing and refining your goals builds a level of self-respect that few people ever experience. You're no longer waiting for permission to live your life your way. You are designing it. You are building it on purpose. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need complicated plans. You just need to sit down every day and look at what you've said matters to you. 1 hour of truth. 1 hour of focus, 1 hour of personal responsibility. That hour gives you more clarity than a whole week of rushing around without direction. Start by writing your goals down. Be specific. Make them personal. Don't write what sounds good. Write what feels right. Write what you truly want in your career, your health, your finances, your relationships, your personal growth. Then look at those goals every morning or every evening. And ask yourself how you're living. Ask yourself if your current habits are leading you there. Adjust what needs to be adjusted. This is how people grow. Not by accident, but by attention. When you do this every day, something powerful happens. Your goals stop being dreams. They start becoming instructions. They start becoming standards. You're no longer hoping for change. You're working for it. 1 hour of reviewing your goals gives you a kind of certainty that no outside voice can give you. You're not guessing anymore. You're focused. You'll start to notice how much time you used to waste. You'll start to see how often you let distractions steal your progress. But more importantly, you'll start to feel more in control. You'll feel that every day has purpose, that every decision has weight. You're no longer drifting. You're building. And every day you spend an hour with your goals, you reinforce that you are not willing to settle for less than your potential. And it's not about speed. It's about direction. Even if you move slowly, you're still moving forward. Even if your progress is small, it's still real. The key is to keep looking at the map. Keep looking at the destination. Remind yourself why it matters. Remind yourself who you want to become. Remind yourself what's at stake. And let that reminder guide how you show up every day. Over time, this practice changes your identity. You go from someone who hopes to someone who plans. You go from someone who tries to someone who commits. You go from someone who waits to someone who acts. And all it takes is 1 hour every day. 1 hour to look at where you're going and make sure your actions are matching your vision. That's how real change begins. That's how you build a life that feels meaningful. 1 hour at a time, with intention, with clarity, with commitment. Number 3, exercise daily to build strength and mental clarity. The body was not designed to sit still and stay comfortable all the time. When you stop moving, your energy drops, your mind slows down, and your mood begins to decline. But when you move your body every day, you tap into a kind of strength that fuels everything else in your life. You start to feel more awake. You think more clearly, you become more resilient. You don't need a perfect gym routine or expensive equipment. What you need is consistency. What you need is that 1 hour every day where you choose movement over stillness, effort over ease, discipline over delay. Your mind and your body are not separate. When your body feels strong, your mind follows. When you push through physical discomfort, your mental endurance grows. When you build habits of daily exercise, you create structure in your life. That structure supports better decisions, better focus, and better outcomes. This is not just about fitness. It's about taking back control of your energy. It's about showing up to your life fully prepared. Not just hoping you can handle the stress, but knowing you can. You don't need to compete with anyone. You don't need to compare yourself. This is not about becoming a bodybuilder or an athlete. This is about giving your body what it was made for. Movement, tension, challenge, breath. When you exercise, even just a little every day, you remind yourself that you're capable of effort. You don't need to feel motivated to get started. You need to decide that you won't negotiate with yourself. You need to move even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's where the real change happens. You might not see results on day one. You might not feel transformed in a week, but something is already shifting. Every drop of sweat, every set you finish, every time you keep going when you wanted to stop, you're building something inside you. And that feeling, that quiet confidence, starts to carry into the rest of your life. You speak with more certainty. You carry yourself with more pride. You handle pressure with more calm. Not because you've read it in a book, but because you've earned it through your own effort. Exercise is a form of personal proof. It shows you that you can do difficult things. It teaches you that discomfort is not the enemy. That tired doesn't mean quit. That pain doesn't mean weakness. Every time you get through a hard workout, you remind yourself what persistence looks like. And that becomes a pattern you carry into every area of your life. Your goals, your work, your relationships, your self-respect. There are people walking through life exhausted, not just because of the demands around them, but because they're carrying tension with no release. They've got stress in their mind, but they don't move their body. And that pressure builds. It becomes frustration. It turns into burnout. But when you exercise, you release that weight. You let it out. You shift it into something useful. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions settle. You don't feel so reactive anymore. It doesn't take much to get started. You can go for a walk. You can do push-ups. You can stretch your body. You can follow a video. You can go to the park. Just move. That movement is enough to begin changing your state. It tells your brain that you are taking charge. It reminds your body that it's still alive, still active, still working for you. And as you do it daily, you start to crave it. You stop needing to force yourself. You look forward to it, because it feels like freedom. The real value isn't just in how you look, it's in how you feel. When your body is active, your mind doesn't race as much. Your decisions come faster. Your reactions are smoother. You don't get knocked off balance so easily. The small things that used to bother you lose their grip, because you've trained yourself to face difficulty every day. You've built a base of strength that holds you steady. When you don't move, you start to lose trust in yourself. Your energy fades. Your focus slips. You get distracted more easily. But when you move daily, your mind stays sharp. You handle setbacks better. You think more clearly under pressure. And that edge gives you more options in life. It opens doors, because people respond to someone who shows up with energy, with presence, with command. That's what daily movement gives you. Make it a rule. 1 hour every day. No excuses. No negotiations. Just move your body. You'll notice how your sleep improves. You'll notice how your posture shifts. You'll notice how your inner dialogue becomes stronger, more focused, more disciplined. That hour you spend in movement becomes an anchor. It keeps you grounded in effort. It trains your brain to chase discomfort, not run from it. There are people who spend all day thinking about change. They talk about their goals.
They dream about transformation, but they never act. They never get up. They never put in the physical effort. And that's the difference. It's not about thinking. It's about doing. When you exercise daily, you put action behind your desire. You make it real. And that reality builds your self-worth. You begin to notice other habits getting easier. You eat better. You stay more organized. You keep promises to yourself. Because you're no longer living in chaos. You've created structure. You've proven that you can commit. That proof matters. That's how you rebuild confidence. Not from words but from repeated action. You won't always feel like doing it, but you don't need to feel like it. You need to remember why it matters. You need to remember what's at stake. Your health, your mindset, your ability to live fully. That 1 hour is not just exercise. It's an investment. It's protection. It's a decision to fight for your future, instead of letting it fall apart slowly. People who move daily stay sharp longer. They manage stress better. They stay more grounded when life gets chaotic. They don't need to numb their pain with distraction. They don't need to run from challenge, because they've built the habit of facing it, day after day, rep after rep, hour after hour. That daily effort becomes who you are. It becomes part of your identity. You stop saying, I should work out, and you start saying, this is what I do. You don't look for motivation. You rely on discipline. And that shift changes everything. Your life gets better not just because of what you gain, but because of what you stop tolerating. You stop making excuses. You stop letting fear run your choices. You stop settling for low energy and poor focus. You raise your standards. And that begins with movement. You move to feel alive. You move to reset your mind. You move to take control back. Not once in a while. Every single day. No matter what the weather is. No matter how busy your day looks. No matter how tired you feel. You move because the future version of you deserves it. You move because strength is not given. It's built. You move because clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from action. And every day you move, you remember exactly what you're capable of.
Number 4. Write your thoughts every day to gain direction. Most people live in their heads all day and never realize how loud it gets in there. Thoughts are racing, worries are piling up, and priorities get lost in the noise. If you never pause to put your thoughts on paper, you start reacting instead of choosing. You start drifting instead of steering. You begin to forget what matters and what doesn't. Writing your thoughts daily is not just a habit, it's a discipline. It's how you bring your mind into focus. It's how you get honest with yourself. It's how you find clarity in the middle of everything life throws at you. When you write things down, your thoughts slow down. You're no longer tangled up in confusion. You can finally see what's real, what's possible, and what needs your attention. 1 page a day is enough to understand your thinking. It helps you notice patterns. It helps you see when you're avoiding something important. It helps you stay aware of how you're living and why you're doing it. When you write, you're not trying to impress anyone. You're not filtering. You're facing the truth as it is. That truth is what gives you power. You can't change what you ignore. But once it's on the page, you can work with it. Every day you carry thoughts that go unspoken. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's doubt. Maybe it's a new idea you've been afraid to say out loud. All of it builds up until you feel overwhelmed and stuck. But when you write, you release it. You give it form. You give it space. You let it breathe. That single act of expression clears your mind more than any advice or podcast ever could. It connects you to yourself. It centers you. It reminds you of your own voice when the world feels too loud. Some people say they don't know what to write. That's exactly why they need to write. Writing isn't just for when you have something clear to say. It's how you get clear. You begin with the confusion. You begin with the mess. You write down what's bothering you. You write about what you want. You write what you're unsure about. You don't need to know the answer yet. You just need to start. Because direction doesn't come from waiting. It comes from working through the thoughts that feel stuck in your head. You'll start to notice something powerful when you make this a daily practice. You start feeling more grounded. Your thoughts become less scattered. You spend less time worrying and more time creating. You make better decisions because you've already seen them on paper. You stop wasting energy second-guessing everything. You stop getting caught in loops of overthinking, because now you've written it down. You've made it visible, and what's visible can be handled. You don't need to write a book. You don't need to follow rules. You just need to show up to the page. Open a notebook or a simple document. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What do I need to do today? What's bothering me? What am I avoiding? What did I learn yesterday? What do I want to remember? And write your answers without judgment. That writing becomes your guide. It gives shape to your day. It gives weight to your thoughts. It becomes a map when you feel lost. You'll be surprised how often the answers are already in you. You just haven't slowed down long enough to hear them. Writing helps you listen. It makes you aware of your internal world. That awareness is what gives you direction. Not guesses, not distractions, not noise, but simple awareness. That's how you start to take back control of your time and your choices. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about showing up to your life with intention. Most people don't know why they're tired all the time. It's not just the workload. It's the mental clutter. It's all the unfinished thoughts, the unspoken worries, the emotional noise. Daily writing clears the mental table. It helps you reset. It helps you choose your next move with clarity. You might write something one morning that changes how you handle a conversation. You might spot a repeated thought that's been holding you back. You might write about a fear and realize it's smaller than you thought. That's the power of putting it on paper. You see the truth. And truth gives you choices. You no longer feel trapped in your own mind. You feel like you can breathe again. You feel like you can move forward, even if just a little. And every day you write, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that your thoughts are worth examining. You stop looking for validation from others. You stop waiting for permission to feel what you feel. You start honoring your own experience. That's what builds confidence. Not pretending to have it all together, but being honest enough to write through your struggles, and strong enough to keep going. You don't need anyone's approval to write. You don't need talent. You just need honesty. You need the courage to sit with yourself and say, this is where I am, and this is what I'm working through. That's what growth looks like. That's how people change, not by avoiding their mind, but by facing it directly. Write when you're tired. Write when you're excited. Write when you're lost. Write when you're winning. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make it a habit. Make it part of your life like eating or sleeping. That daily practice becomes a mirror. It shows you what you believe. It reveals your patterns. It challenges your thinking. It reminds you of what you're becoming. There's something different about seeing your own words in front of you. It makes your choices real. It makes your progress visible. It reminds you that your thoughts matter, that your inner world is worth tending to. You don't have to carry it all in your head. You don't have to pretend to be fine. The page doesn't judge you. The page doesn't interrupt you. The page listens, and in that space you grow. Over time, that writing becomes a record of your journey. You'll look back and see how far you've come. You'll see the progress that didn't feel like progress in the moment. You'll see lessons, patterns, and wisdom you didn't know you had. You'll see your strength in the way you kept showing up, even on the days when life felt too heavy. That kind of direction isn't taught. It's discovered, and the discovery begins with writing. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes, but it gives you back so much more. It gives you control. It gives you focus. It gives you a place to breathe and think clearly. That daily effort builds something strong in you. Not loud, not flashy, but steady, reliable, unshakable. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to know yourself again. That's how you stay on track. That's how you build a future that reflects your values. Not by chance, but by choosing it one page at a time.
Number 5. Read one chapter daily to sharpen your thinking. Every person wants to improve their life, but not everyone wants to improve their mind. The difference between someone who stays stuck and someone who moves forward is often found in what they feed their thoughts with every day. One of the most reliable ways to sharpen your thinking and stay ahead in life is by reading just one chapter a day.
It doesn't have to be a long book. It doesn't have to be a complicated book. But it does need to be something that challenges how you think, opens you up to new ideas, and pushes you to grow. The mind grows when it's exposed to new information. If you're not feeding your mind, you're repeating the same ideas over and over again. And if your thinking stays the same, your results will stay the same. You'll keep feeling stuck in the same situations. You'll keep falling into the same traps. You'll keep having the same doubts. That's why a daily chapter matters. It's not just about reading words, it's about giving your mind something useful to work with. It's about seeing different ways of thinking and picking up better tools for your own life. Reading one chapter each day adds up over time. That small effort builds mental sharpness, not in one moment, but through consistent discipline. It builds awareness, it builds understanding, it builds judgment. That's how you begin to think with more precision. You don't fall for every distraction. You don't get pulled into every argument. You start choosing your responses instead of reacting out of habit. Most people underestimate the power of a single idea, but ideas are what change lives. One sentence can shift your entire way of seeing a problem. One paragraph can help you make a better decision. One chapter can stop you from making a mistake you would have paid for years. But that only happens if you show up to the page. That only happens when you make reading a part of your day. When you read something meaningful, you stretch your thinking. You step out of your own experience and step into the mind of someone who has walked a different path. That perspective can teach you how to solve problems faster. It can teach you how to manage your emotions better. It can teach you how to lead others more wisely. Books are more than words on paper. They are lessons from lives lived, from people who struggled, learned, and chose to share their knowledge. You don't have to make every mistake yourself. You can learn from the pain, the wins, and the insight of others. Reading helps you slow down in a world that moves too fast. It gives you a moment to reflect, a moment to reset, a moment to recharge your thinking. When you read, you're not reacting to news, messages, or noise. You're engaging your mind with intention. You're feeding your brain something that strengthens it. You're investing in your own capacity to think clearly and act wisely. Some will say they don't have time to read, but it's not about time. It's about priority. If you have time to scroll, you have time to read. If you have time to complain, you have time to improve. It's not about reading all day. It's about reading one chapter and letting it shape your thinking. That one decision to sit down and read every day sets you apart from most people. It gives you the edge. It gives you clarity. It gives you depth. Reading builds vocabulary, but more importantly, it builds understanding. It helps you connect dots others don't see. It improves your communication. It makes you more confident in how you express yourself. It gives you the ability to explain your ideas with calm and precision. That's not just valuable in work. That's valuable in every conversation you have, in every relationship you build. The books you choose matter. Choose books that speak to your values. Choose books that challenge your comfort. Choose books that stretch your limits. One day you'll look back and realize that those small choices to read a chapter instead of doing something easier added up to something massive. They added up to new beliefs, new habits, and new results. They added up to a better version of you. You don't have to understand every word the first time. You don't have to agree with everything you read. The point is not perfection. The point is growth. You might wrestle with ideas. You might feel uncomfortable. That's where growth lives. That's where your mind sharpens. That's where you get better. That one chapter daily becomes your classroom. It becomes your challenge. It becomes your advantage. You start seeing things others miss. You start thinking ahead. You start asking better questions. And the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. That's what reading helps you do. It trains your brain to dig deeper, to see beyond the surface, to look for patterns, to recognize opportunity where others see obstacles. One chapter can calm your anxiety. One chapter can remind you of your strength. One chapter can open a door in your mind you didn't even know existed. That's not an exaggeration. That's the real power of consistent reading. It keeps you sharp when life gets cloudy. It keeps you grounded when pressure builds.
It keeps you focused when the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. If you want to build wealth, read. If you want to lead better, read. If you want to grow in character, read. If you want to communicate with influence, read. One chapter a day is not hard. Most people won't do it. That's why it works. That's why it makes a difference. That's why it pays off. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You just need to do it, quietly, consistently, with discipline. The results will show over time, in your words and your decisions, in your relationships, in your results. You'll begin to see the change in how you carry yourself, in how you respond under pressure, in how you prepare for your future. The change will be real because the work is real. One chapter a day. That's the investment. That's the discipline. That's the shift that sharpens your thinking.
Number 6. Visualize your success daily for 1 full hour. If you want to reach a higher level in life, you must begin by seeing it clearly in your mind. The world won't hand it to you. People won't just believe in it for you. The real change starts when you decide to spend time each day focusing your thoughts on the life you want to build. Not wishful thinking, not passive daydreaming, but focused, intentional, detailed visualization of the goals that truly matter to you. And if you do it for an hour a day, every day you'll begin to notice your mind getting clearer, your actions getting sharper, and your energy shifting toward purpose. You can't hit a target you don't see. And most people don't see anything. They go through the day reacting to life, pulled in all directions, distracted by noise, with no mental picture of where they're going. That's why they feel lost. That's why they struggle to stay motivated. That's why they feel like their work has no meaning. But the ones who take the time each day to see it clearly, specifically, begin to shape their life in alignment with their vision. You can sit in a quiet space. You can close your eyes. You can take control of what plays in your mind. You decide what kind of person you're becoming. You decide what kind of work you want to do. You decide what kind of contribution you want to make. And then you spend an hour walking through that vision. Not rushing, not forcing, just thinking through the details. What does success look like for you? What does it feel like? What are you wearing? Where are you? Who are you with? What kind of conversations are you having? What values are you living by? You give your brain that picture to hold on to. This is not fantasy. This is training your brain. Your mind responds to repetition. It starts to align your beliefs, your emotions, and your habits with the images you hold consistently. When you see something often enough, it starts to feel real. And when it feels real, you start acting like it's possible. That's when your behavior shifts. That's when you start making decisions that move you forward. That's when hesitation turns into clarity. You don't need anyone's permission to do this. You don't need validation. You need discipline. You need to show up to this practice with the same seriousness you'd give to anything you expect results from. Just like lifting weights strengthens your body, visualizing your success strengthens your belief and focus. You don't see the results immediately, but the work is happening, internally, deeply, quietly, and eventually, it shows up in your actions. When you visualize consistently, you stay connected to your purpose. You're less likely to give up when things get hard. You're less likely to be thrown off by fear. You're less likely to fall for distractions. You remember why you're doing what you're doing. You remember what's waiting for you on the other side of your discipline. That kind of clarity is powerful. It gives you stability when life gets shaky. Most people think success is just about hard work. And yes, work matters. But the most successful people in any field will tell you, it started in the mind. They saw it before it happened. They believed it before it was real. They rehearsed it mentally so many times that when the opportunity came, they were ready. They didn't hesitate. They didn't second guess. They didn't shrink. They stepped forward, because in their mind they'd already been there 100 times. Your life will rise to meet the level of your vision. If you only see problems, you'll live in frustration. If you only see limitations, you'll live in fear. But if you discipline yourself to see solutions, to see growth, to see impact, then that becomes the path your actions begin to follow. The mind is not neutral. It's either building you or breaking you, depending on what you put into it. Visualization is how you take control of that input. It's how you choose the direction. Spend that hour seeing yourself finish what you start. See yourself overcoming resistance. See yourself staying calm under pressure. See yourself making progress each day. That hour is not a break from life. It's preparation for it. It's where you rehearse the mindset you'll need when challenges come. It's where you rehearse the confidence you'll need when you're asked to lead. It's where you rehearse the strength you'll need when doubt tries to creep in. Visualization doesn't replace action. It prepares you for it. It creates alignment between your thoughts and your behavior. It strengthens your ability to stay focused when the world tries to pull you in every direction. It teaches you to live with intention instead of reaction. And the more time you spend seeing the future you want, the more natural it becomes to live in a way that leads you there. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. 1 hour a day, every day. Not just when you feel inspired. Not just when life feels good. But even when it's hard. Even when it's quiet. Even when progress feels slow. That's when it matters most. That's when the practice starts to shape who you are becoming. Don't just think in general terms. Be specific. What does your morning look like in that future? What habits are you practicing? How do you handle setbacks? What kind of people are you surrounded by? What are your routines? What are your wins? What kind of self-talk do you use? What's your energy like? These are the details that create a full picture. These are the details your mind needs to lock on to something real. And if negative thoughts show up during this process, don't fight them. Replace them. See yourself choosing differently. See yourself moving forward anyway. See yourself responding with clarity and strength. Your mind will start to believe the picture you feed it most often. You get to choose what that picture is. This hour of visualization becomes a foundation. When people try to discourage you, you won't be shaken. When results take longer than expected, you won't quit. When self-doubt whispers, you'll have a stronger voice in your mind that says, I've seen where I'm going. I've rehearsed this. I'm built for this. That inner certainty comes from daily mental training. You don't wait to feel ready. You train until you are. Each day you do this, your vision becomes more familiar. And when it's familiar, it becomes achievable. You stop thinking of it as a dream and start treating it as your direction. That's when your energy aligns. That's when your planning improves. That's when your confidence becomes real. Not loud, not boastful, but grounded. Spend 1 full hour. Not rushed, not distracted, fully present. Make that hour sacred. That's your time to connect with your higher self. That's your time to prepare mentally for the life you're building. That hour isn't wasted. That hour is invested. And the return on that investment is massive. Greater clarity, deeper belief, better actions, stronger momentum.
Number 7. Plan tomorrow's actions every night with purpose. One of the most powerful habits you can build is the practice of preparing tomorrow before it begins. You don't need fancy systems or complicated strategies. You need time, attention, and purpose. Every night, before you go to sleep, take a quiet moment to sit down and ask yourself, what needs to be done tomorrow that will move me forward? This one action creates clarity. It removes the guesswork from your day. It helps you walk into your morning with certainty instead of chaos. Too many people wake up and start reacting. They check their phones, scroll through distractions, let other people's needs set the tone. But if you plan your next day the night before, you don't start with confusion. You start with control. You've already done the thinking. You've already decided what matters. You don't waste time in the morning figuring out where to start. You already know. You gave yourself direction. You gave yourself a plan. That's what it means to live with intention. You don't need to write a novel. You need a list of meaningful tasks. Pick 3 to 5 things that really matter. Things that if you completed them, would create real progress. Not just the easy tasks, not just the urgent ones, but the ones that shape your future, the ones that stretch you, that move you toward the person you're trying to become. Planning with purpose means thinking about the results you want, not just the tasks you need to check off.
When you do this at night, your mind goes to work while you sleep. It begins to organize your thoughts around those goals. It prepares you mentally. It gives you a stronger reason to get up in the morning. You're not waking up to face a day filled with random activities. You're waking up with purpose. You have a mission. You have clarity. That builds confidence. That builds momentum. Planning the night before doesn't take much time. 10 minutes can change everything. It's not about volume, it's about alignment. You sit with yourself and decide what your energy will be used for. You take the control away from distraction and give it to discipline. You stop letting the outside world dictate your day, and you begin choosing it for yourself. That shift is everything. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need to wait for things to feel perfect. You build the habit now. You sit down tonight and ask, what would make tomorrow successful for me? You answer honestly. Then you write it down. That's it. Simple, but powerful. You begin shaping your days with intent. You start acting like your time matters. You stop letting days drift by. That's when progress starts to pick up. This practice teaches you to live by design. It forces you to take ownership of your time. When you plan with purpose, you become more aware of your choices. You stop saying yes to things that don't matter. You stop wasting energy on distractions. You focus your actions on what really counts. That's how you make every hour meaningful. That's how you stop surviving and start building. At night, your energy is different. It's quiet. You're not in the middle of the rush. You can think clearly. You can reflect. You can ask yourself what worked today and what didn't. You can learn from your own actions. That reflection helps you make smarter decisions. It helps you see patterns. It helps you stay aligned with your goals. That's why this habit isn't just about planning. It's about growth. You'll find that the more you do this, the more focused you become. You start to eliminate the noise. You stop doing things just because other people are doing them. You get clearer about your values. You start measuring success by progress, not perfection. That mindset shift starts with the way you prepare. You're no longer living in reaction. You're living with direction. And when your day goes off track, and it will, you have something to return to. You don't stay lost. You look at your plan and you get back to it. You adjust, you adapt, but you don't drift. That's what separates people who move forward from people who stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's the ability to return to a plan with purpose, to come back to what matters. Planning your next day with purpose also helps you sleep better. Your mind feels more settled when it knows what's coming. You're not lying in bed replaying everything you forgot. You've written it down. You've committed to it. Your brain can rest. That rest gives you more strength for the morning. You wake up with better energy. You wake up ready. This habit builds self-trust. Each time you plan and follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be counted on. That's where confidence comes from. Not from speeches. Not from hype. But from action. From doing what you said you would do. From showing up when no one's watching. From honoring your own plan. This is your time. This is your life. These days don't come back. Every night is a chance to look forward and shape what's next. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need everything figured out. You need 10 minutes. And the willingness to take your future seriously. You need to care enough about your life to decide how tomorrow will be used. And if you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just come back. Sit down. Plan the next one. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about staying committed. You don't quit because you slipped. You keep showing up. You keep choosing growth. You keep deciding that your life matters enough to plan for it. You're not planning out of fear. You're planning out of purpose. You're choosing your steps because your future deserves direction. You don't want to wake up one day and wonder where your time went. You want to wake up knowing you shaped it. Every day, one plan at a time. That's the kind of life that feels solid. That's the kind of life that earns results. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about going to sleep with a sense of direction. It's about waking up with your energy already pointed toward progress. That habit creates alignment. That habit creates focus.
That habit builds a future you can be proud of. Take that time tonight. Sit with your thoughts. Choose your priorities. Write them down. And when you wake up, follow through. Not because it's easy, not because you feel like it, but because you've decided that your future is worth the effort. Your time is your life. Don't spend it by accident. Plan it with purpose.
Number 8. Practice gratitude daily to grow. Inner peace fast. Gratitude is not just a word or a gesture. It is a deliberate act of awareness, a quiet but powerful decision to recognize what is good, even when life feels tough. Practicing gratitude every day doesn't require special conditions. It doesn't wait for success. It doesn't need applause. It starts where you are, with what you have, right now. It's about pausing for a few minutes to see clearly the things that are already present in your life that bring value, warmth, or strength. When you choose to practice gratitude daily, you shift your focus away from what's missing and toward what's meaningful. You stop chasing after the next thing to feel okay. You begin to see that what you've got today, even if it's not perfect, still has value. You start to notice small details you used to walk past. The warmth of a cup of coffee, the sound of laughter in the distance, the way your lungs breathe without effort. These aren't just background. They're signs that life is still giving you something. We live in a world that pushes us to want more and more things, more likes, more attention. And when we're not careful, that noise drowns out what's already good. That's why daily gratitude matters. It brings you back to center. It slows you down just enough to remember what's already working in your life. And from that place of clarity, peace begins to grow. This kind of peace doesn't come from having everything figured out. It doesn't depend on perfect circumstances. It comes from presence. It comes from noticing what's here now and appreciating it fully. When you sit in that feeling, even for just a moment, your stress starts to loosen, your tension lowers, your mindset softens. You don't need to be loud about it. It's personal. It's quiet, but it's powerful. Gratitude also teaches you perspective. When you start your day or end your night thinking of what you're thankful for, you train your brain to look for the good, and the more you do that, the better you get at finding it. Even during hard days, that practice keeps you from sinking too deep when life gets hard. It reminds you that even if things aren't perfect, they're not hopeless. There's still something in the middle of it all that's helping you hold on. The benefits go deeper than just feeling better. Practicing gratitude can change how you respond to people. You become more patient. You listen better. You show up with a calmer presence. You don't get caught in frustration so easily. When you feel full, you're less likely to react out of fear or anger. You begin to respond instead of react. That kind of shift helps not only you but also the people around you. Start simple. Take 5 minutes each day. Write down 3 things you feel grateful for. Don't overthink it. It could be the kindness someone showed you, the meal you had, the progress you made, or the peace you felt after a long day. Whatever comes to mind, write it down. Over time, that list becomes a reminder of how much you already have. It builds a foundation of strength that you can stand on when everything else feels shaky. The mind likes to repeat what it's trained to do. When you practice complaining, it gets good at finding problems. When you practice gratitude, it gets good at finding peace. You are training your attention every time you do this. You're building a skill that protects your emotional state. That's not weak, that's smart. That's wise. That's the kind of mindset that helps you lead your life with strength. Even when things go wrong, even when plans fall apart, gratitude brings you back. You remember that not everything is broken. You remember that some things are still whole. That's a reminder most people don't give themselves often enough. And the more regularly you do this, the more natural it feels. It won't always be easy. Some days you'll feel off. Some days you'll struggle to find something to be grateful for. But that's exactly when it matters most. Gratitude doesn't ignore the pain. It doesn't pretend life is perfect. It just refuses to give all the attention to the pain. It says, even here I will look for light. And when you do that, you give yourself emotional strength. You find balance. You find space to breathe. Some people wait for big wins to feel grateful. But if you only celebrate the milestones, you miss the beauty of the everyday. Gratitude teaches you to celebrate the process. It helps you feel joy in progress. It reminds you that peace isn't a destination. It's something you can build into each day with awareness. When you build this habit daily, it becomes a way of living. You start to say thank you more often. You treat people with more kindness. You see how much people matter. You stop rushing through your days. You begin to see how each moment is a chance to feel whole. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've trained your mind to focus on what gives you strength. Peace is something you build. Gratitude is one of the bricks. You lay it down each day. Some days you lay 1, some days you lay 5. But every day you're adding to something that supports you. It's not loud, it doesn't shout for attention, but it gives you something solid to stand on. It gives your life depth. If you do this consistently, you'll notice that your emotions become more stable. Your focus becomes sharper. Your confidence grows, not from external praise but from internal clarity. You know what matters. You remember what's working. You don't need to chase constant validation. You're centered. You're grounded. You're at peace with who you are and where you are. And over time, this inner peace becomes part of how you handle everything. You still work hard. You still grow. But now you're not driven by fear. You're not rushing because you feel behind. You're moving forward with gratitude. That energy is calm. That energy is focused. That energy lasts. Every day you have this choice. You can start your morning or end your day with this one simple act. Reflect, appreciate, acknowledge what's present. It doesn't require anything more than your attention. Just take a few moments to feel it fully. Breathe into it. Let it settle in your mind. You are shaping your inner world. You are giving yourself something stable to hold on to. Gratitude is available to you right now. It's not something you earn. It's something you choose. And when you do, you give yourself a gift that success alone cannot provide. Peace that grows from the inside out. That kind of peace stays with you through storms. That kind of peace gives you strength. That kind of peace is what turns ordinary days into meaningful ones.
Number 9. Eliminate distractions and focus deeply every morning. You can either wake up and let the world pull you in any direction, or you can choose to focus, to center your mind, and give yourself the most productive, peaceful start possible. It all begins with eliminating distractions. Imagine your mind is like a room. If it's filled with clutter, it's hard to see clearly. But when you clear out the distractions, you give yourself the space to think, create, and move forward. The moment you wake up, the world is ready to distract you. There's the temptation to grab your phone, check your emails, scroll through social media, or listen to the news. These distractions demand your attention. But the question is, what are they doing for you? Are they helping you grow, focus, and move closer to your goals? The answer, most of the time, is no. These distractions are simply noise. And if you let them in early, they set the tone for the rest of your day. Focus requires discipline. It's not something that just happens. You have to work at it. That means intentionally removing anything that doesn't align with your goals. You have to protect your time and your energy, especially in the first few hours of the day. When you wake up, your mind is fresh, and this is your best opportunity to build momentum. Don't waste it on distractions. If you allow external forces to control your morning, you give up control over your productivity and peace of mind. Think about it. The first moments of the day are precious. What you do in the morning influences the rest of your day. If you start the day by checking your phone, you're already reacting to the world instead of leading your own life. You're letting other people's priorities become your own. But when you wake up and focus on your own purpose, you take control. The world doesn't own your time. You do. To eliminate distractions, you need to set boundaries. You can start by creating a routine that centers around your goals. Decide in advance what your morning will look like. Don't leave it to chance. The first hour should be dedicated to yourself. This means no emails, no social media, no browsing. You have to draw the line and say, this is my time to focus on what matters. It's also about the environment you create. If you want to focus, make sure your space supports that. A cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. Keep your workspace clean. Keep your living area calm. Avoid putting yourself in situations that trigger distractions. This could be as simple as turning off notifications or finding a quiet space where you can work uninterrupted.
The fewer distractions you allow, the more room you create for deep work. Focus is also about being present. Often distractions arise from our inability to be in the moment. We let our minds wander to the past or the future, but real productivity happens when you are fully engaged with the task at hand. If you want to focus deeply, you need to train your mind to be here. Now, this requires practice, but it's an invaluable skill. You can start small by taking just a few minutes every morning to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and bring your focus back to the present. The most successful people in the world are masters of focus. They know that if they allow themselves to be distracted too often, they won't achieve their potential. They know that the key to success is deep, sustained focus. And this focus isn't reserved for just work. It applies to everything you do: your personal growth, your relationships, your health. When you eliminate distractions, you give your full attention to each area of your life. And that's where true progress happens. If you are serious about improving your life, you must respect your time. You must understand that every minute you spend on distractions is a minute you could be investing in your own future. When you wake up early, use that time for growth. It's a chance to learn, to plan, to meditate, to move your body. This is where you can make the most significant impact on your day. And when you eliminate distractions, you give yourself the best chance to make that impact. Building focus takes time, but it is so worth it. When you can sit down in the morning and work without constantly checking your phone or looking around for something else to do, you will be amazed at how much you can accomplish. It's a skill that pays off exponentially. Your productivity will increase, your stress will decrease, and you'll feel more accomplished at the end of the day. You don't have to be perfect. It's okay if you occasionally slip into the habit of checking your phone or getting distracted by something else. The key is to recognize it and refocus. Every time you catch yourself drifting, it's an opportunity to bring your attention back to what matters. The more you practice this, the stronger your ability to focus will become. The first hour of your day is a gift. How you use it can shape everything that follows. When you eliminate distractions, you make space for clarity, creativity, and deep thought. You make space for progress. You make space for your future. And that's why focusing deeply in the morning is one of the most important habits you can develop. Start today. Set boundaries around your time. Create a morning routine that helps you stay focused. Eliminate distractions and watch as your productivity skyrockets. Don't let the world pull you in every direction. Take control of your morning, and you take control of your life.
Number 10. Track your progress every day to stay accountable. Every day is a chance to move closer to your goals. It's not just about taking action. It's about knowing where you stand and measuring your growth. Tracking your progress is a powerful tool that keeps you accountable to yourself. It's easy to lose track of time or get distracted with other things. But when you have a clear record of where you are, it's much easier to stay focused. Accountability isn't just for others, it's for you too. When you track your progress, you're making a commitment to yourself. You're saying, I'm serious about my goals and I'm doing the work every single day. One of the hardest things about setting goals is staying committed to them over the long term. It's not easy, and there will be days when it feels like nothing is happening. That's when tracking becomes crucial. It shows you that even on days when progress feels slow, you are still moving forward. You can see the little wins that add up over time. Tracking gives you the evidence that you are on the right path. Without that evidence, it's easy to get discouraged. But with it, you are reminded every day that your efforts matter. You don't need a complicated system to track your progress. Keep it simple. A journal, an app, or even a checklist can work. The goal is to create a habit where you reflect on your actions every day. It's not enough to just take action. You need to measure your results. How much time did you spend on your goals today? Did you make progress toward them? Did you face any obstacles? These are the kinds of questions you need to ask yourself. When you track your progress, you create a feedback loop that keeps you informed, motivated, and engaged in your journey. When you track your progress, you start to see patterns. You begin to notice what's working and what's not. Maybe you're more productive at certain times of the day or after certain activities. Perhaps there are habits that are slowing you down,
and tracking can help you identify them. This awareness allows you to make adjustments and improve your approach. Without tracking, you're just going through the motions. But with it, you are actively improving your strategy. Every day becomes an opportunity to optimize your process and get better. Tracking also helps you build momentum. When you look back at your progress, it becomes easier to stay motivated. You see the progress you've made, even if it's small. This can be incredibly encouraging, especially when you're working on long-term goals that seem far off. It's easy to get discouraged when you can't see immediate results. But when you track your progress, you remind yourself of the distance you've already covered. That gives you the confidence to keep pushing forward. Staying accountable doesn't just mean measuring your actions. It also means acknowledging your successes and setbacks. Tracking gives you the opportunity to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Maybe you completed a task you've been putting off for weeks, or reached a milestone you're proud of. Recognizing these successes fuels your motivation. At the same time, tracking also helps you confront your setbacks. Instead of ignoring or avoiding them, you face them head-on. You look at what didn't work and learn from it. This self-awareness is essential for growth. Another powerful aspect of tracking is that it keeps you in touch with your goals. It's easy to lose sight of your objectives when you're caught up in daily life. But when you track your progress, you are forced to reflect on your goals regularly. It keeps them at the forefront of your mind. Tracking reminds you of why you started in the first place. It reignites your sense of purpose and commitment. When you're clear about what you're working toward, it becomes easier to stay focused, even when challenges arise. The act of tracking your progress also reinforces discipline. It's a daily commitment to yourself. It says, I am serious about achieving my goals. This consistency creates a habit of discipline that strengthens over time. The more you track, the more you understand how much effort is required to achieve success. And that understanding keeps you focused and committed. It helps you avoid the temptation of shortcuts or distractions. You realize that success doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent, deliberate action. Tracking your progress also gives you a sense of control. Life can sometimes feel chaotic, and there are many factors outside of your control. But when you track your actions, you take control of your efforts. You may not be able to control everything, but you can control what you do every day. This sense of control is empowering. It puts you in the driver's seat of your own success. And when you feel in control, you're more likely to take the actions necessary to move forward. One of the biggest benefits of tracking your progress is that it helps you stay accountable not just to your goals but to yourself. Too often we let ourselves off the hook. We make excuses or convince ourselves that we'll get to it tomorrow. But when you track your progress, you can't lie to yourself. You can see exactly what you've accomplished and what you haven't. It's a way to hold yourself accountable in a way that's honest and transparent. You can't hide from the truth when it's right there in front of you. Another important reason to track your progress is that it helps you stay flexible. Sometimes we get so focused on the destination that we forget to adjust our course along the way. Tracking allows you to make changes when necessary. If you see that something isn't working, you can adapt your approach. If something is working well, you can double down on it. Tracking gives you the freedom to change and evolve as you go, which is crucial for long-term success. Finally, tracking your progress helps you build confidence. Every time you see that you're making progress, no matter how small, you gain confidence in your ability to reach your goals. You realize that success isn't some far-off thing that only happens to other people. It's something you're actively working toward every day. And as you track your progress, you build the belief that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. You need to track your progress. It's one of the simplest, most effective ways to stay on course. Without tracking, it's easy to lose sight of your goals. But with it, you keep yourself focused, motivated, and accountable. It turns your journey into something measurable and tangible. Tracking your progress is the key to turning your dreams into reality.